Somewhere along the line, we stopped feeling. We scroll past headlines of war, poverty, injustice, and grief like they're just more noise in the feed. Another bombing, another tragedy, another refugee crisis, and the world shrugs. Not because people are evil, but because they're overwhelmed, desensitized, or maybe they just don't know what else to do. This episode is about callousness, the modern face of wrath. But this isn't wrath in the traditional fire and fury sense. It's colder, quieter. It's the numbing of our empathy, the hardening of our hearts, and the slow erosion of compassion. And it's everywhere. In Christian tradition, wrath was seen as a consuming fire. Anger left unchecked, often leading to violence, vengeance, or destruction. It was even one of the 7 heads of the beast in Revelations, representing a soul devoured by fury. But in the modern world, wrath has evolved. We rarely see people screaming in the streets. What we see is apathy. Apathy towards injustice, cold indifference to pain that isn't our own, and an instinct to blame rather than understand. It's not that people don't get angry anymore. It's that we've redirected our anger into contempt. Contempt for the poor. Contempt for the struggling. Contempt for the other. Not burning with fury, but frozen with apathy. We live in a world where entire families die in distant war zones, and it doesn't even make the news. Refugees risk everything to flee violence, and instead of compassion, we hear cries of, "They're invaders!" Children go hungry in our own neighborhoods, and we accuse their parents of gaming the system. Poverty is filtered through the lens of lazy freeloaders, and tragedies become just another headline to scroll past. We don't picture faces anymore. We see statistics. We see threats. We see costs. Callousness creeps in when we start reducing human beings to categories. Illegal, welfare queens, enemy combatants. We begin to think in terms of what they're taking rather than what they're surviving. We use outrage as a shield and judgment as a shortcut. She should have worked harder. He should have followed the law. They should have stayed in their country. It's all so much easier than asking, what if it were me? What if it were my family? This isn't just a political problem, it's a spiritual one. It's a disconnect from the shared thread of humanity that binds us all. And here's the thing, callousness doesn't just turn us against others. It turns us against ourselves. That same numbness we develop toward the suffering of others, we use it to silence our own inner cries for help. We ignore our emotional wounds. We dismiss our exhaustion. We berate ourselves for not being strong enough or productive enough or tough enough. When we're hurting, we tell ourselves, "You're fine. Don't be weak. Other people have it worse." But the thing is, just because someone else is drowning doesn't mean your broken leg doesn't hurt. You're allowed to feel. You're allowed to need help. When we invalidate our own pain, we create an internal culture of cruelty and call it strength. The human heart wasn't designed for this much suffering on this wide a scale. We see more horror in 1 week than our ancestors saw in a lifetime. And when pain becomes constant, it becomes background noise. Social media, endless news cycles, sensationalism, it all adds up. We're expected to care about everything all at once, and in the end, we often care about nothing at all. We put up emotional walls. We get compassion fatigue. We tune out. And behind all of it, we become lonelier. Because empathy is the bridge between souls. And when that bridge collapses, we are all stranded. So how do you fight back against callousness? It's not by feeling guilty. You can't shame yourself into having compassion. You have to practice connection on purpose. Start small. Look people in the eye. Ask somebody genuinely how they're doing and really listen to their answer. Without trying to win or prove or correct, listen to other people's opinions. Strive to understand before you insist on being understood. Put a face to the numbers. Learn a story behind a crisis. Watch a documentary. Hear someone's testimony. Every person has a story, a name, a family. Get curious before you get judgmental. Journal about somebody that you've judged harshly. Really try to understand their world and how their circumstances might have shaped their behaviors. Speak up when you see dehumanization, whether it's online, in a casual conversation, even at work. Challenge it, not with cruelty, but with compassion. Allow yourself to feel, even if it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. And maybe the most important first step is to treat yourself with the empathy you wish the world had more of. Compassion is a muscle, and it atrophies when you don't use it. But you can strengthen it with practice. One of the most dangerous lies that we're sold is that vulnerability is weakness. We build up our walls. We constantly say, "I'm fine." We believe that the only way to survive is to harden up. But sometimes that very armor becomes our prison. Callousness doesn't just rob others of our kindness. It robs us of our ability to connect, to be seen, to feel alive. We start to believe that we are only valuable if we achieve, only lovable if we're perfect, only worthy if we never show pain. But being human means being vulnerable. And there is immense strength in allowing yourself to feel, especially when it hurts. The path back to empathy isn't about fixing the world all at once. It's about letting one person's suffering matter again. And maybe that means starting with your own. Callousness is the quiet killer of empathy. It doesn't explode like rage. It erodes like water against stone. But just as it was learned, it can be unlearned. Through attention, through intention, through remembering that every person you meet carries a world inside of them, just like you. Let that truth soften your gaze. Let it break your heart a little, because a broken heart can still love, but a numb one is truly lost. Next up in our modern 7 Deadly Sins series, we're going to be dealing with greed and its modern counterpart. A look at how envy, resentment, and power battles are splitting society into winners and losers, the haves and the have-nots, and what we can do about it.